Monday, July 21st. Petitions by citizens on non-agenda items. The Rogers Street Access Control Ordinance. We talked about this in utility meeting. We all in utility meeting thought that it was a good idea, but we wanted to officially get a recommendation from this committee for tonight. Is there any more discussion on it? It was Mr. Wilkie to follow the same thing as the county for the entrance to his driveway. Can I make a motion to make a recommendation to approve it to council tonight?
I'll make that motion. I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Riley, Mr. Most. First and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Number 3, grocery tax ordinance. We've talked about this multiple times in the past. I think we all understand the general premise of it. Like I said, the other municipalities in this area that I've looked at have all put this ordinance into effect. We've got a little bit of a list here about the numbers on what it would be, what it would mean to certain things. As we pointed out in the past, a lot of the revenue by this is paid by people that don't live in Waterloo. There are people that come from out of our city limits to shop in our town, and we benefit from that. It kind of shows certain ways that we benefit, or what things would happen with the general fund possibly if we did or did not approve it. I have been a proponent that I think we should put it in place. I mean, we've talked about it a lot in the past. Tonight the discussion is, what's everybody else think besides me?
I've been a proponent since day one because this is not a new tax. This is basically a shell game created by J.B. Pritzker. It may have been any other governor, but this administration, that the 1% tax actually is charged. It goes to the state of Illinois. It's a state of Illinois law, and then it's sent back to us. And he has changed that to saying that the cities can actually enact an ordinance in order to do the same thing. So the tax would be charged exactly the same. It goes to the state of Illinois and would come back to us just like it always has. No different than it has been for as long as this tax has been an Illinois law. The only difference is now it would be an ordinance for the city of Waterloo. And that is the only difference.
Another thing that I've always looked at, I guess, too, is that we all get our property taxes, and everybody's looked at it. And I mean, when the amount of money the city of Waterloo gets from the property taxes doesn't fund the police department, doesn't fund any of our big things. With IMEA, the way we've done things, our utilities, electric, is cheaper than Ameren and the co-op. We've shown those a lot of times in the past. We avoided some of the increases from Illinois American on the things going on there. And our gas, I mean, we have competitive gas rates, and we've also, in the last 5 years, twice, we've taken money out of the gas fund to knock the top off of 2 big events that would have really raised utility bills for the residents. Those are the things that I think are the really important things for the residents of the community. Keeping utility bills that they see every month as low as we can, and I think we've done a good job with that. I don't think this is something that they've always had. A lot of people from outside of town contribute to it. I don't think this is the thing that would help save our residents a meaningful amount of money. I've been, when I was in industrial sales, I drove all over the area, many different municipalities. I've never seen a town that has this good of side streets, curb and guttering, sidewalks from all the other towns that I've went to. I think this is a stream of revenue that we need to keep going.
Kyle, appreciate your viewpoint, and while this committee tends to agree a lot, I think looking at differing viewpoints is great, and that's one thing I appreciate about the city council. Taking a look at the ordinance, it does say that Illinois municipalities may impose a tax. Those are the words of this ordinance. So we, as a municipality in Illinois, will be imposing this tax. It is a continuation, if you want to look at it. However, the state has said, we're not going to collect this tax anymore. If you, as a community, want to, you may pass an ordinance to do it. I think it's interesting to look backwards, too, because the state had to pass a law so that municipalities of our size could implement a tax like this. Prior to this, a community our size, prior to this, a community of 25,000 or more could be, quote, home rule, and they could develop these taxes on their own. Under 25,000 had to get approval from their voters to be able to impose a tax, and that was kind of brushed away with this. So, you know, I'm looking at the draft of where this money might come from, and I think we've been all supporters of the police department. I think there are ways to save in other parts of the city, hopefully. We're not looking at eliminating a police officer. I'm glad everybody's here. We want to show your support for you all. I think also taking a look at this is from the standpoint of we are imposing a tax. I think we've got an opportunity to go, you know, there was one of our city council meetings that I watched while I was on vacation. The comment was made, we have people in our community that have a tough time making ends meet. I agree with you. But you didn't say that. That was said by someone else. But I agree with you. This is not a lot of money, but I think anything we can do to lighten a tax burden on a tax-heavy community or tax-heavy state should be viewed and looked at.
And we're looking at it.
Yeah, explored both ways. So I'm not in favor of adding this tax. Municipalities may impose a tax. I'm not in favor of our municipality imposing this tax on our customers, on our consumers, even looking at the big picture where some of that money is coming from out of town. That might seem short-sighted by some, but I'm looking at what's best for our constituents, what's best for our voters, the people that we're watching out for here. And you can say that about, well, that tax is good. If it's coming in, it's offsetting local taxes. 100% understand that as well.
Well, the revenue loss then, where do you think you could pull that money from? Like, I would say, you know, that's the big question. Anytime we spend $1, where's that money going to come from? I know that we have obviously our budget every year, but we are fortunate also that we do have, you know, we have a nest egg, we'll say.
Or two.
You do not.
Do not.
You're talking about the general fund. You're not talking about utilities. So you're not talking about the water. You're not talking about gas. You're not talking about electric. Those funds are in those funds. They are not in the general fund. If you're going to reduce your income in the general fund, it's gone. Now you can borrow money from somewhere else, but that would be, for me, that would be like I am going to take a reduction in my income, which is a reduction in my income, but I'm going to continue to spend like I always had that income, and I'm going to spend my reserves, and I'm going to spend my retirement until it's gone. And we could do that today, but that would be like saying that your children or your grandchildren are going to figure out some way to make this work in the future. So if we're going to do something, if we're going to replace this funds from somewhere else, where would it come from?
Let's take a look at the budget. If it fails tonight, then let's take a hard look. Do I think it should come from police? No. I mean, you've got a draft here that you put together on some things. There are a lot of things maybe that aren't on here. Look at line items that are available. We can make reductions. We can be smarter. We can save more. I don't know. I don't have that answer that you're asking me right now, but I'm just giving my viewpoint on this conversation.
Okay. It's great.
No, I just say, like, I get where you're coming from on some families not being maybe in a little bit more economic hardship than others, but they're already paying it. It's, you know, I go to the grocery store, pay $200 for my groceries. It's $2. they're not going to notice that. I mean, if it's the same, it's the same, and we just keep going. Even though it says like the city's, implementing it, it's the same. I don't think the $2.
Well, and that was kind of to my
I
point.
don't know.
Our utility bills are cheaper per month than $2
Right.
compared to local places. And what we've done when we've had big spikes in like the natural gas costs, we've spent money to lower it per utility bill by a lot.
Yeah. I'm just
So-
not sure that this is going to make a huge impact if we said like, no, we're not going to do this. I don't think it would make a huge impact on the families. I really don't. I mean, because they're used to paying this percentage now, and it's not going to change what we pay at the grocery stores.
And I don't disagree, but I do think that that's a slippery slope. When an entity that we are now going to be a taxing body can say, we don't think it's going to be that big a deal. We just want a little bit more. I feel like that's happening at a state level and across other taxes that people are paying.
But we don't want a little
So-
bit more. We want the exact same that we're getting now.
We are going to be imposing a tax.
We are not going to be getting a nickel more than we currently do.
Right.
Not a nickel.
It would be
more.
the same.
I guess to your question, because when you say slippery slope, so you're saying you're worried that next year we're going to go for 3%. Is that what you're saying?
What if the state cuts something else and does this exact same thing with another tax? When nobody saw this coming.
What tax do we benefit from that the state could cut?
Great question.
There's still sales tax. Still get sales tax.
So that theoretically sales tax they could,
We still get 1% of sales tax, right?
yeah. So they could cut that.
Cut that. Yeah.
But besides sales tax, I'm just not aware of another thing that they could cut.
I'm not aware of a tax that we benefit from. I don't.
Besides this and sales tax.
Correct.
Motor fuel. Motor fuel tax.
Yeah.
That's
Oh, yeah.
Motor fuel tax is very restricted. We get motor fuel tax on approximately $210,000 a year.
Yeah, it's small.
Something in that, and it actually has to be, that's our oil and chip program, and it's very, very restricted as to what you can use it for. You could not put that back, you could not put that in the general fund and spend that.
Could we make up that $425,000 on the projected revenue loss out of our gambling money?
Gambling money is transient, and gambling money today is what you're getting. But if in fact they legalize gambling from this, what you're doing in there, immediately those businesses could lose as much as 50% of their income from gambling, based on what the state would actually enact. So in that, gambling it's transient. I would give you an example of Alton, Illinois, that used to have an enormous amount of money with the Alton Casino. And then the Casino Queen opened, and Alt is broke. Because they were spending that money, and they were spending it for their normal, what you would call general fund, expense items. They got used to that spending habit, and it disappeared overnight. So gambling, it'd be great to have it. It'd be great to count on it, but you cannot.
The state has proposed gambling on your phone,
right.
where instead of going into brick and mortars, you could just do it on an app. And I don't know, I haven't read enough about it to know exactly how that would break down with the municipality share, but I assume that would affect it.
Mr. Chair, we talk about a savings for a family. Really, does anybody come up or anybody establish what kind of money? Are you talking $500 a year? Are you talking about $100 a year that a family might save if we do away with this?
If we
We're
use-
talking about a small amount of money.
Yes.
So I just did Google that very thing. The average grocery bill for a family of four a month is about $1,000 a month. Is a 1% tax. We're talking about $10. To Kyle's point, the water bill alone, when Illinois American went up 27%, and we went up 3%, think we made that $10 back there, that $10 a month.
And we
Now,
also make
you are
that,
wrong
we also
here.
make that up on our.
I don't love taxing. I don't love saying $10 isn't going to hurt a family. It's none of my business, what number is going to put someone over the brink. But what I am saying is $10 compared to what we saved in other ways, it's a big consideration.
And
See,
then and we would have to figure out where we're gonna cut and pull that money from, and then people are gonna be upset because we've cut jobs or we aren't keeping the streets up or whatever. So there's
The cutting of rebuilding streets would be Ward 1 and Ward 2. It's not going to affect, not for a long time, would it affect?
Well, it'll affect any ward at some point.
Right, but it wouldn't heavily affect 3 and 4. It would eventually get to you, but Ward 1 and 2 is actually one, just like in Columbia Avenue that we just recently did, and 3rd Street. So you are looking at starting 4th Street, which is approximately $1 million. Flower is going to be close to that, I presume. I don't know how much utilities is under Flower Street that we would have to move or renew. So you'd be pushing those projects into the future when they're already in need of being rebuilt. So you say we're going to maintain our current workforce, but we're going to push 4th Street into next year. We're going to push Flower Street into 3 years from now. And every other street that we need to build, you're going to push those into the future also.
Well, so I'm definitely not for cutting anything on this sheet. But to kind of build off Jim and you as well, is you're right, the gaming revenue, it could be gone tomorrow, theoretically. But with this ordinance, is it that we have to enact it now or never? Or is it now?
It has to be done by October.
And if it's not done by October, then we can never enact
It's
it.
done. It's over.
It can be revised after 6 months.
Every 6 months, you have an opportunity to revise it, raise it, lower it, whatever. Every
That
6
said,
months.
I think you're putting yourself at risk because now you are adding back something that was taken out.
You're right.
And you're
Right there.
And you're going. So we've already budgeted for this fiscal year. You are going to lose 1/3 of that money in this fiscal year, because that would be January through April. So whatever you've already budgeted for this year, you're going to lose 1/3 of this money. So you will be behind in this current fiscal year before you can even budget for the next one.
How confident are we in this 425 number? Have we ever heard back from the actual state, from the Department of Revenue?
No.
Yeah, because we're just going on, because the Illinois whatever, the RT published this number, we were extrapolating 408 from 23 to 425 in this current revenue year. It's just an extrapolation. I don't know how reliable that number is because the Illinois Policy Institute doesn't list a source. We've asked how many times to the Department of Revenue, hey, what is this number? And they never get, even before you were in your position, Sarah. I mean, the state has put us in a bad position, I think, extraordinarily. One, because they never had control of this money, so they cut taxes, so they didn't have to, whatever. But I don't know if we can actually trust that number because we don't know how much it is.
We don't know.
I do know that if we enact this tonight, next year we could sit here and have the same conversation and we could know that number.
Whenever we go to
Without-
increase our tax levy for the property tax, that's a consideration to make. Whenever we go and raise utility
Yes.
rates, it's a consideration to make.
And we could look, to Gary's point, if you want to look at the budget in a very hard way and we could try to come up with that money somewhere else. I think that's all things that could be done, but next year we would have the hard numbers to do that.
And it would give us time to kind of build on what Jim said, is to look at the gambling line. I know it's not a forever thing, it could be gone tomorrow, but it may be here next year or 10 years from now. This would, if we do pass it, it could give us time to say, okay, we got our budget fulfilled for this year. Now we can start exploring options that next year, maybe we decide to pull it back. We don't know. I'm okay with that because I don't want to cut anything. I don't want
Because to your point, you could theoretically next year, if you know the number, take 1% to 0.5%.
and say, okay.
And fill in some with gaming, but you don't want to do 100% of that because we don't know what that's going to be.
Right. That's
And actually gaming is the engine that actually continues to keep your downtown vibrant, which actually is the heart of Waterloo. So if you
But you
give
can-
that money away,
Well, and what I'm getting at with that is you wouldn't be giving 100% of it away. You could say we're going to give.
Correct.
Whatever we have left over, we can continue with the facade grant,
Right.
put flowers
Right.
downtown or whatever.
Yeah, but until we know the hard numbers, it's hard to make any of these decisions, in my opinion.
But I agree with what Joel said, and you've mentioned to it, and so has the mayor. The state has put us in a terrible position.
Yes.
Completely true.
And I agree with you, Mayor, that it is from the top down. And there's a man I supported reverently, but not on this. I think he is trying to get to the low income and the poverty, that we could look beyond that. I think if we do this, everything we do has a risk involved. And I would hate to take that risk of suspending or deleting equipment, that we might have gotten started, or canceling projects, or letting people go. Even the thought of that
Right, we don't want to do that.
would be too risky. But when we know what we've got, because this is not new. This is not new. It's poorly worded. It is, shoved down our throat. Sorry about that. But I will be voting for it.
I guess the logistics probably isn't the right word. The mechanism for this, we have to either enact it or not by October 1st for a January 1 continuation, I guess at this point, or whatever, reenactment. We can adjust it by April 1st of next year for a July 1 adjustment or reenactment or whatever. And I think it's like that in perpetuity going forward. The other part of that bill was we can enact up to a grocery tax up to 1% and 1/4% increments, so we could reduce it to 1/4%, 0.5%, whatever in those increments. Or there's also a sales tax portion of that. We could eliminate the grocery tax and implement a sales tax, which up to I think only 1/4%. So those are all options that I guess are on the table to either reduce taxes on the residents or make the numbers actually work. If we're going to do a sales tax, we got to get rid of the grocery tax. Personally, that's what I would believe. But because taxing something you have to live, it doesn't sit really good with me. You have to have food, but
Taxing to eat.
right. That's just the mechanics of how that law is written, just so everybody's got it
So
on the record.
if you make a decision that you're not going to pass it, from this point forward, then all of the income that you gave away would fall 100% on the shoulders of the city residents of Waterloo. Right now, only 60% of that is, you're getting 40% of that revenue from people who do not live here. If you give this up, you are looking at putting 100% of that responsibility on the shoulders of the residents of Waterloo.
Right, and that's why I said the next time we increase property tax levy or increase utility rates, I think this needs to be kept in mind, what we're doing.
But this you're increasing 60 cents on an hour.
I understand, but
The
that
other
is
one
our
you're 100%.
constituents. Right, that is 100% our constituents. That's
Correct.
There's a
And that
I
was
give and
talked
take
about
there.
at the beginning. That's revenue that does help our community and it helps our citizens. That's one way to look at it. The other way to look at it is, can we help our citizens by decreasing this? And I think if you look at any household in the last 2, 3, 4 years, there have been times when you have to, not everybody's budget and income keeps going up and up and up. And I think at some point, you gotta, I think probably as a city, we're an entity that it has. So looking at taxpayers to continually pull money from them and continue to pull more, because we are imposing this tax, even though it's a continuation, we're imposing it. Does the state replace this tax money with other taxes that they put out there? So let's be honest. The people are being taxed somewhere else. They're not saving anything. This is a savings to them.
Which the state is. So
right. eliminated the grocery tax, but increased the gas tax, whatever it was, 19
Sure.
cents a gallon.
Right, they eliminated the tax that they have no vested interest in.
Right.
Correct, they get no benefit whatsoever.
But I've said it before, said it tonight, I appreciate these conversations. And I think if we come in here every week or the 3 times a month that we meet, and there's no conversation and people all feel the same and it's always all yes votes, I don't think that's good. I think conversations like this and a little bit of different viewpoints, I think that's good regardless of how the vote ends up in any of those situations.
No, I completely agree with that. And tax is obviously a scary word, but money out of your paycheck towards something is still money out of your paycheck towards something. And that's to Matt's point. We basically already, by ducking the increase on Illinois American, we've saved this year the residents on their utility bill, which is the biggest thing. Like I said, it's money, and if we can continue to save on utility bills, I think it's a good thing for us to do, and that's what I really hope we can always continue to do without cutting anything, and that brought us to this ordinance. So,
Right.
I think anyone else have anything, or I think we're pretty much at the point to make a recommendation.
I make a recommendation that we pass this ordinance. As
Mr.
presented.
Hopkins makes the recommendation to pass the ordinance. I'll second that motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And against?
Aye.
Aye.
There you go.
Two against?
Three.
Was that was a 5-0? Or did you vote against or
I voted against.
Yeah, 3, 2-3.
2-3? Okay.
Went down for against.
2-3.
Against. Yeah, so tonight we'll tell, I mean, everybody's here, but
Right.
we'll put it in the record at the city council.
Okay. It will remain on council tonight, on the agenda tonight.
Yeah, we'll just tell them what we, like I said, everybody's here,
Right.
but we'll make it official in those minutes and then we'll vote on it.
Okay.
Number 4, comments. Number 5, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Mr. Most?
I'll second it.
Mr. Riley? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to adjourn.